I heard this podcast recently. So basically, this guy named Alexander Selkirk was stranded on an island for 4 years and 4 months because he was a pirate and he got kicked off his boat. He basically, like, within the 4 years, like, made friends with all the animals. He just, like, lived on his own out there until he was rescued. I actually do have this issue where I can't kill bugs. So I catch them and I put them outside. Or I put cups on them and I let someone else take care of it.
What if you don't have a cup?
Then I just let it go. I've literally left like cockroaches in my house before because I'm like,
What?
I can't. Talking about cancel culture earlier. And I just think that is so like in opposition to vulnerability because you say one thing and then you can get canceled. Trying to check in with people is important. Even if you don't know they're going through a hard time. Sometimes whenever I think about someone randomly, I'll usually try to text them. We just take for granted as like, oh, it's just a random thought about a random person. But oftentimes when I'll text that person, be like, hey, I just thought of you. Like, hope everything's going well. A lot of times they'll respond and be like, yeah, actually things aren't going well. Like, thanks for checking in. And it's important to know that people are thinking about you because you can feel so alone when you're in that place. Like, the sooner you can be real with yourself, the sooner you're going to have like major growth because
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Brief Dive podcast, where we talk about deep topics for a brief amount of time. Joining me is a friend of mine. Feel free to introduce yourself.
hey, my name is Jessica. I'm 29 years old. Yeah, I don't know if I should say anything else.
That's good.
Okay, cool.
29. Let's go. Yeah, so before we jump into the topic, let's talk about what we were talking about. Thursday? Friday.
One of the days. Yeah.
One of the days. It was about, you tell them
Yeah,
what
so
the story is.
I heard this podcast recently about this man, the man that inspired Robinson Crusoe. So basically, this guy named Alexander Selkirk was stranded on an island for 4 years and 4 months.
Yeah, 4.5, right? Oh, yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years
my
and 4
bad.
months.
My
Yeah, yeah. Because he was a pirate and he got kicked off his boat. And he basically, like, within the 4 years, like, made friends with all the animals. And he just, like, lived on his own out there until he was rescued. And so I can't remember why we were talking about that. But
Why were we talking about that? Oh, wait. We were talking about shows, and I was talking about The Arrow. Wait, no.
Oh,
you
yeah, the
I
Green
said
Knight.
it reminded me of The Arrow. I don't know why we were talking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Do you think
Yeah.
you can survive on an island?
I would like to say yes. I think realistically, probably no. I don't know. I feel like you have to learn how to like. Well, I feel like a big part of that is killing the animals to eat them, and I
Mhm.
don't know if I could do that. Like Loki.
So you're telling me you're going to
Yeah.
die because you can't kill an animal?
I actually do have this issue where I can't kill bugs. It's like an actual issue. I can't. So I catch them and I put them outside, or I put cups on them and I let someone else take care of it.
What if you don't have a cup?
Then I just let it go. I've literally left like cockroaches in my house before because I'm like,
What?
I can't. Yeah. I
No way,
cannot.
no way. No,
I'm
that
serious.
thing's dead. I'm
It's
sorry.
true.
What? So
Yeah.
you see a cockroach, you don't touch it?
No, are you serious? No, because I mean I have a whole philosophy behind it all, but it's mainly because I can't crunch an animal.
Crunch an animal? That's crazy, bro. That's actually
It's I'm serious. You can talk to any of my past roommates. I don't kill bugs.
So, cockroach right there, you're just going to let it live?
Oh yeah, I do. Or I'll just let someone else kill it. I'll walk out. Yeah.
Wait. If someone kills it for you, you'll
Yeah.
eat it?
What? Eat it?
I mean, okay, we're talking about
Oh.
vegetarian. Like
Oh,
chicken.
you gonna eat a
chicken.
cockroach?
Some people eat cockroaches.
That's true.
Yeah.
A chicken? Well,
Chicken.
yeah. So, I mean, this is a long, like, I could go on about this. Okay. I was trying to do farming when I was in Europe last summer so that I would be forced to kill an animal to see if I would kill it to eat it. And I didn't end up having to kill anything. But it was kind of to, like, come to terms with, like, the idea of, like, why am I eating animals if I don't like the idea of killing them? So I didn't end up having to kill any of them. But I learned a lot about the farmers and their way of life and how because they have like a really good relationship with a lot of their animals that they have, but then they kill them and they eat them. And so I learned from them about like the philosophy behind it and everything. So it made me come to peace with it. But all of that to say, I don't know if I could survive on an island because I don't know if I could personally kill an animal to eat it. I think I would have to be on like berries, a little berry diet.
Yeah, you're going to get
Yeah.
poisoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pick the right
That's me too.
berries.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think how I would do it. I know there's fish.
That's
Can you eat
true.
fish?
Well, I can eat everything. I just can't kill them.
Because some people can't kill things that like look cute. Fish are not cute, so people just.
Fish are cute. They're cute.
Okay, would you rather kill a fish or kill like a chicken?
Neither. The issue, I can't even
Right.
kill bugs. For the moment,
Oh yeah.
so
What am I asking? Bro? What am I asking?
we're
I'm
playing.
the kind of guy like if we're in a what are those rooms that they lock you in and then
Like an
your
escape
group
room.
escape room?
Yeah.
I'd be on YouTube during an escape room, like how to leave an escape room. And
No way. That's
mean,
the
first
whole
I'd,
point.
like, try and then I do that. I like how tos.
Okay.
Um,
You do need a lot of how-tos to survive on an island, though. You gotta know how to start a fire. You gotta know how to make shelter, pure
Mhm.
water. Oh my gosh, have you ever
You
watched Lost?
no,
Lost will teach you everything you need to know.
I've seen Naked and Afraid.
No,
Is that the same thing?
it's definitely not the same thing. They're not naked on Lost, but other than
Okay.
that, Lost is like
Lost is just this. Oh, is that the one where I've seen before and afters of a show where, like, how they look like before the show where they
Yep.
like, get stranded and how they look like after, and they're just like bone thin afterwards.
no. I don't know. I don't know if that's Lost.
That's not Lost.
I don't think so.
They
It's
were
not
lost.
It's not a real show.
Oh.
It's a fictional show.
Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about a reality show.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's hard though. Like coconuts and
Coconuts. Yeah.
I can't do that. I
Yeah.
can try. I'll try.
I would probably last like maybe 3 weeks. Nah.
That's not bad.
Maybe 1 week. It really depends on how fast I could get water.
You just boil salt water, right?
Yeah, but how are you gonna boil it? Where are you gonna get a pot?
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, how do they boil it?
So, well, they don't boil it. In Lost, at least, they have like a tarp. Well, they crashed with a plane, so they had like some supplies. It was kind of cheating, but they had like a tarp that they poked a hole in, and then it like dripped into a water bottle. And because of the way, something about how the sun shone on it, I guess maybe that was the boiling. It purified it somehow. I don't know. Yeah, we should watch how-to videos, and then we can crash our plane. Anyway, this guy lasted 4 years.
That's a
So-
long time. You said 10 years, and you're just like, my
I
bad,
did.
4 years.
Yeah,
So I was like,
but
that's
still
crazy.
a long time.
Yeah.
Even 1 year.
Going back, you said that was hard for him, right?
Yeah, when he came back into like normal human society, it was really hard for him to readjust. And I think he was like forgiven for whatever happened to make him get kicked off the ship because it was something that he had done. But it was really hard for him to acclimate because he had been so used to just being out in nature and amongst animals and not amongst humans. So, yeah.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of Tarzan. Tarzan and
True.
Arrow. Arrow was stranded for 5 years, and
Oh.
then comes back, and it's just he's a different man. But
Whoa.
I
How
need
old
to
was
show you
he
the show.
when he got stranded?
I remember him saying he was in a frat, so he had to be like
Mid 20s.
20 something.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. But topic.
Yes.
Let's get to the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's get to the podcast. I'm congested. I'm gonna tell it. I'm congested, guys.
You're not that congested though. It's okay.
Okay, Jessica.
Yes.
When facing dark times, how can we cultivate a sense of hope and resilience?
This is a good question. I think the most important thing is to just be real with yourself about what's going on and like really come to terms with like whatever the situation is first, because you can't like stifle what you're thinking or feeling. So you have to like acknowledge like, you know, whatever I'm going through, whatever this is, like it sucks that this is happening. But I think once you like kind of like settle that it's happening and you're in it, like you have to really just like face the problem head on and like, and then surround yourself with like truth, I think is really important, and like positive truth, because like the reality is like it will pass, like the dark time will pass because everything passes. But I think the way that you get through it or like have hope through that is just by like remembering like what's true and really like processing it. Like I like to write a lot, so I like write it down on like a sticky note, and so I put it on my wall and just like look at it when I wake up, because it's like it can like get me through. So
You're a sticky note person, right?
I'm
I
a
remember
super
you
sticky
said in
note.
the mirror.
yes, yeah, I do have sticky notes on my mirror. I don't know if I told you that, but
You did.
yeah, okay.
No, okay. Don't make me sound creepy on the camera. Don't do that. Please don't.
Okay, I won't.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a sticky note person.
Yeah.
Think-
Yeah. Yeah, so I like to like just process it a lot and journal. And if you're not a journaler, like just getting it out somehow, talking to a friend or a counselor.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I also thought like just like I think helping someone else or like doing something for someone else when I'm like not in a good place really helps me get out of my head.
Yeah.
Even like whether it's, you know, like like I've done like food pantry stuff or like, you know, traditional kind of helping, but also even just like being with a friend who's going through a hard time and like being there for them, or like, you know, doing something for like a homeless person or whatever. Like, you know, I've made like bags for people or before and just gave them out at like stoplights. Nice. Seriously.
Really?
Yeah, seriously. Because they need things. But just like helping in some way, like helping someone else that's like in a worse spot or like in a similar spot, or just hearing someone out is really also helpful to get me out of my head.
Yo, getting out of the thing that helped me was whenever I'm not in a good mood, I try to do something good for someone else. And some say that's not good. Like, you have to think of your intention behind doing good things for people. Like, am I doing this for you or am I doing this for me?
I think either way, though, is all right. Because even if it's for you, it's going to get you out of your head. You need to, it's like really what it comes down to with like, when you're going through a hard time is just staying afloat, because you're not going to be like thriving. Obviously you're going through a really hard, I mean, you could go ahead, but I think like you just have to take care of yourself. So like, well, that's what I was thinking too with this topic. Like, you have to take care of yourself, like wash your face, make your bed, like do all the things that you normally would do, and don't start getting into like drugs or alcohol, because it's going to make you so much worse. Seriously, you have to like deal with your stuff and like deal with it head on and journal in like healthy ways and work out. Like,
I agree.
Even when you don't feel like it, you just have to like stay in your healthy habits, because that's the only way you're going to continue to have hope. Because if your body feels like trash, like you're just sleeping all day long and you're not working out, you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to like fuel into this kind of downward spiral. And sometimes you really can't. Like, I'm sure we'll get into it later, but, and I went through, you know, long stretches where it was like I could not handle the world. And so it was like my routine went back a lot. But I think as much as you can push yourself, just like taking care of yourself as much as possible is like really important.
What's helped me get through tough times was staying consistent with, wow, I sound congested.
Yeah.
The thing that helped me was staying congested. The thing that helped me was staying consistent with my routine, even though I was feeling whatever. Yeah. Right. So it gave me a sense that like my feelings are temporary, my emotions are temporary, but my routine is not.
Yeah.
So if I'm sad, still go to the gym. If I'm sad, still do your homework. If I'm sad, still wash my face, still clean up, do all that stuff. So that's powerful. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, that's what you said.
Yeah.
But
no, yeah. I mean, it's completely true. Because if you get out of your routine, you're just going to feel, I mean, you just have to take care of yourself, like in whatever form you can. And I think I lower the bar a lot for myself, because it's like a part of just giving myself grace. Like whenever you're going through a hard time or hard week or hard day, it's just like, all right, this is the bar. You know, the bar used to be up here, and that's like where I was, you know, at my peak workout routine and like everything was going great. But if I'm like not feeling good, it's like, all right, Jessica, just go on a walk. Like go on a like 20-minute walk, get out, like clear your head or whatever, or, you know, do like an ab workout or something, like, you know, or just go to sleep earlier, like whatever you can do, just doing whatever you can do essentially. And not just like falling into like, well, I'm allowed to like lay in bed all day because I'm sad. It's like, it's not gonna make you feel any worse or any better. It's just you're just gonna feel like, I mean, upset with yourself. So
there are periods of time where like it's okay to do that, but
yeah,
after a while you gotta get up and move.
Yeah, there's a time and place. And I think if you can get up and move, you should. If you really feel like I cannot get out of bed today, then it's like, okay, don't, like, stay in bed. But if you can, it's just like pushing yourself within like whatever limits are like healthy for you.
For me, I don't know when I'm not good with allowing myself to feel the feeling when it comes to how do I say it? That line where it's just like, it's okay to be sad and it's not okay to be sad, and just like get up. I don't know where to draw that line.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think you just have to do whatever you feel in that moment, like the overwhelming side of you goes towards, and then just learn from it. If you feel like later on you're like, yeah, I should have gotten up, then it's like just thinking, okay, what were the signs? Or like, I mean, it just takes a lot of like honesty with yourself, which like goes back to like my first point of like just being real with yourself and self-assessing like along the way. Yeah.
Some people can't be honest with themselves when they're sad.
They cannot?
Yeah. I can't. Well, no, I know. What am I saying? I can. I really can. But some people, how do I say this? When I'm going through a tough time, sometimes it's hard for me to know what the truth is. And it's good to get like a third person perspective, someone telling you like, hey, like, you've been at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, get up. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah,
You've been not working out. You've been not doing this. Like, a third person perspective to let you know, like,
yeah,
how things are looking like from the outside.
yeah.
Some people need that brutal, honest truth from a good friend, because
Yeah.
like we can't see it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think that's where friends and like, or at least one solid friend, but yeah, just friends in general, like a community is really important because they can, if you're seeing them like often enough, they can tell like when you're like isolating or when you're withdrawing. So they can speak into it or check in and be like, hey, where are you? Like, what are you doing? So yeah, it's important to have friends that will call you out too. Because some people are like, oh yeah, take care, you do you, like stay in bed, They just kind of like allow it to be whatever it is, and you need people that are going to call you out and like know that line too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those people are hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's true.
takes
You can
time.
find them. They're there.
They are there.
They're here.
They're
It's
here.
you.
It's you. I wanted to touch base on having healthy outlets with this question. Obviously, journal, walk, meditate, exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But good friends, quality good friends,
Mm-hmm.
that's my secret sauce. That's the secret sauce. So that's what a lot of people need from time to time, especially through tough times.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to touch base on that?
On friends?
On friends, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I think friends are like really important, especially like getting out with them because yeah, like I think getting outside in general, like whether by yourself or with friends is important, but just having friends that are going to like check in on you or do a phone call or challenge you, like yeah, it's just important to get out of your head, especially and not isolate. Like I think there's times when it's okay to be alone, obviously when you're in a dark place, but if you're really in a dark spot and it's like going on, it's not just like a day, you're like the universe is against you for a day, which happens. But if it's like an extended period of time, you need people or at least one person who's gonna like who you can get out with or like go work out or go see a movie, do something fun, like something that you enjoy doing. Yeah. And that will like actually get real with you too.
Yes.
Yeah. They have to ask you. I mean, it's hard to say, like, go find a friend that asks good questions. But, like, I think just someone who's going to, like, ask, like, hey, how are you actually doing? And not accept if you just, like, blow it off. Like, oh, I'm fine. It's like, no, like, how are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's to the point where, like, if I ask someone how they're doing, I don't listen to because I always know that the response is just good. Everyone always says good, good. So I've fallen into this where I just brush over it and I just fall into the conversation. That's not good.
Yeah, I think because I got annoyed with that too. And so I started, well, now if you ask me how I'm doing, I'll be like, how am I doing? And it's kind of like a joke, but it gives me time to think, like, how am I actually doing? And I've gotten into the habit of being like, if I'm not doing well, just being like, I'm all right. Like, I'm not like great, but I don't really want to talk about it. But thanks for asking. And I'll just be honest because I'm like, I don't want to lie to you. Like, I'm not doing great, but like, I don't want to go into my whole life story with you, depending on who it is. Or even if it's a friend, I'll be like, yeah, I'm not really doing well, but I really don't want to talk about it right now. Like, I'll tell you another time.
Yeah, there's some people that I just can't do it to. I mean, it depends on the person.
Yeah. Well, you don't owe anybody anything. If it's a person, like a coworker or, someone that you don't know very well, grocery store worker, and they're like, how are you doing? You're going to start unfolding your whole life. No, I mean, you can just say, like, I'm all right, I mean, you don't have to be real with every single person that asks you, but I think if it's like a close friend, you can be real with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to dark times, I believe that we are at a vulnerable state. When it comes to feeling that way, it's very easy to fall into bad habits, bad people, bad decisions. So how does the topic of vulnerability, being vulnerable to someone though, how does vulnerability lead to personal growth and stronger connections?
Yeah, I think vulnerability is, I mean, it's just super important if you want to have like a deeper, like strong connection with someone. And it starts with being vulnerable, I think, with yourself, like going back to what I was saying in the beginning, like being real with yourself, but just like not lying to yourself, because as soon as you start thinking, oh, I'm fine, like stifling it, it's just like the sooner you can be real with yourself, the sooner you're going to have like major growth, because you know all of your flaws and your strengths, and you can be like, you can kind of adjust as necessary, and that's what produces growth. So
Yes. No, it's good. It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
So then it flows out from like within being vulnerable to yourself. Like I think we were talking about a couple of days or a week ago about being accountable to yourself. Like if you follow your own, like if you can trust yourself or not. And I think that all also goes back to being vulnerable with yourself. But so anyway, so from being vulnerable with yourself, it's like then it flows out into like being with others. And
Vulnerable to yourself. That's like
yeah,
what you mean by being honest to yourself?
yeah, like just like making sure that you're not like lying to yourself about like what's going on or like stifling things. Like you kind of are just blunt. Like I'm pretty honest with myself about my weaknesses. Like I mean, I don't even have an example, but yeah, I guess like being honest with yourself. So, yeah, and then yeah, I think it creates personal, like it creates like a lot of deeper relationships with your friends too,
Yeah.
because people want a real connection. Like
A lot of people, some people like deep down, they just crave deep connection.
Yeah,
That's hard to
yeah.
find.
I think most people do. Like if you're honest with yourself, you just want something real. So I think that's where like a lot of like we were talking about cancel culture earlier, and I just think that is so like in opposition to vulnerability, because you say one thing and then you can get canceled, and
Yeah.
it's like, or you can be called offensive, and it's like, okay, like there's obviously a place for that because there's a reason why it's a thing, because there's people saying whatever they want. But if you're being just like real with a friend and like talking about something, you don't want to have to worry about someone calling you like saying like, oh, that really offended me, because it shuts the whole conversation down. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like, can we move on? Like, just say like, okay, I'm sorry that offended you, but can we talk about it? And so anyway, so I think being able to find people who you can be vulnerable with and who
I
will,
never
like,
thought of it that way. Sorry.
yeah. I was journaling recently, and I was like, I wrote down, I was like, okay, Jessica, because it really surprised me. I was
We'll
like,
let you cook.
no, I was like, offense really narrows your sphere. Like when you're so worried about offending people, your world becomes so small because you're like, okay, I can't say that, and I have to be careful about how I say this. And like, if you just have friends where you can be real with each other,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of friends who have said before, okay, I have this thought and I don't know if I agree with it, so I'm just gonna say it out loud, and we're gonna like walk through the sentence, and then I'm gonna say if I agree with it or not. And I've said sentences before that I'm like, I do not agree with what I just said. And to have someone who's going to sit there and just listen to you and then like affirm the good parts and the bad parts of like whatever you said
Yeah.
is really, it's really important to just have people that are, I mean, I wouldn't even call it open-minded, but just like wanting to go deep, because it takes like really, I mean, it just takes like real people to get like real conversations. And sometimes like things that you have to say aren't, you know, we're all growing, and so everybody's going to say things that are like different levels of like truth. And so I think to have friends that will like let you say it and then like call you out on it is important, and it creates like a deeper connection. And then people you can get into like arguments with and then come out of it. Yeah, because it leads to it. If you, I mean, that's the whole thing, is like being vulnerable with someone, sharing like, hey, that really hurt me, like whatever you said or you did, like, and then talking about it. So, and then coming out of that stronger. Like I have a couple of friends that they're my closest friends because we've been able to have like arguments about different things.
I'm just thinking of my sister, and I can't think of any other friends that.
Oh, the against arguments with.
But I know that whenever I find myself having an argument with someone, I'm really comfortable with them. So that is
yeah.
true.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it makes you stronger connection. Like it makes your friendship. Well, it should.
No, I never thought of it. Vulnerability. I don't like the word vulnerability.
Oh, really?
I just think it's just a strong word, and people use it weird. Maybe because
Yeah.
I'm coming from a guy. I don't want to speak for all guys,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking of it as like primal, like old, like animals kind of thing. You have a pet? Do you have a pet?
Not presently.
Not presently.
No.
Okay.
I
I'm
used to have a
sorry.
dog. Yeah.
sorry for your
thank
loss.
you.
But pets, you know that like when they show you when they show you your belly,
Yeah.
when they show you their belly,
Yeah.
they trust you.
Yeah.
When they sleep with you with their belly up, then they really trust you.
Yeah.
So when they do that with their pack, they must really trust their pack. They are in a state of weakness. Hold off on that.
Oh, wait.
They are being vulnerable. I think being vulnerable is technically a state of weakness that you are sharing to someone. It just depends on who you're sharing it to. So it's not that there's no strength
Mhm.
behind vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's that it technically is a state of weakness.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's not that some people know how to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
It's just who to be vulnerable with.
Yeah.
Finding those people are not easy. That's why I was emphasizing, like, it's hard to find those people. Because I know what it's like to not find those people, and I know what it's like to have those people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think actually to go along with that, because I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think to be vulnerable is to be strong. Like you have to be strong to be vulnerable. Like it's the people that are very like kind of fake and surface level usually, okay, let me be careful. But well, this is one of those moments where I want to say like I'm just going to say my sentence and then see. But I'll just say it and then see. I think yeah. Yeah, here we are. I think like a lot of people that are like more fake and surface level don't really have a lot of inner strength because they're just not either in tune with themselves or they feel very nervous about what other people will think about them. So they say the most like basic kind of surface level things or like adhere to the most like commonly accepted beliefs because they don't have like the inner strength to like back up what they actually like would like to think or like what other people who are vulnerable like to be vulnerable you have to really have like honed like what you believe to share that with someone and to like back it up. So and I think the process of getting there is really scary.
Yep.
To think through your thoughts and your beliefs and then like say them and have someone criticize them and then but it really like refines it because it's like okay, like I'm going to tell you what I believe and you're going to attack me and then I'm going to have to come up with a reason or really think about what you said and that like makes my beliefs like stronger, whether it's like tilting towards what you just said or if I'm like stronger and like no, I actually really agree with what I was saying, like, and then that creates the argument. So I do think to be vulnerable, you have to be strong in a sense. Yeah.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
That wasn't too bad. Because you're worried about that.
Yeah, I know. Well, because it sounds weird.
No, that's right. I agree with you. I'm following with you. Don't worry. I agree with
Sweet.
you.
Yeah,
100%.
Okay.
I think people who are basic level, it's like a level of shame of like who you really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being vulnerable is like, it's hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, as a guy, if it's a guy thing, I don't know.
Well, we all know, guys are usually raised to like not show emotion or everything. So it's just like harder. But I think that's why it's even more impressive that you do it because it's hard to like override what you instinctually will do or like want to do and just say like I'm going to be, especially in the sense of being vulnerable. That's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable even when you like being vulnerable because it's like you're putting yourself out there. So yeah, one of the things that I met with this like life coach for a little while and she said to look at yourself with curiosity and not judgment and just like when you do things, and that goes back to like being vulnerable with yourself, like when you do things that you feel like were like really stupid or you wish you hadn't said something, it's like not to be like, oh, Jessica, you're such an idiot, like I can't believe you did that, which is like my automatic like internal like voice, and just being like that was interesting, like let me assess like why did I say that and like what led up to like me doing that. And that I think like helps you have a lot more like grace for yourself and just like helps you to grow way more as a person than if you're just like bashing yourself, because then you become more insecure and less likely to be vulnerable or open up. So I think when you look at yourself with grace and curiosity instead of like judgment, it can create a lot more room to like learn from it and move on and like and grow. So
I agree. They say like when you're overthinking, look at yourself as if you're like a curious scientist. So like see every thought and just be like, okay, what is it?
Yeah.
Where is it coming from? Da 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 da.
Yeah. That's smart.
And then when you tell yourself like, okay, what's the next thought? Think, come on, bring it to me.
Yeah.
Next punch.
Yeah.
But that's where like it rewires our brain and we're just like, wait, normally I'm supposed to be like mad at myself, but I'm not. So now this feels weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good because then it's like you can be a lot more like outward, like from the outside, just be like, okay, this isn't like my whole identity, like what I just said or did. It's like you can kind of see it objectively. And the concept of like talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend, like just if you were to do something stupid, I wouldn't be like, film on, you idiot. Like I wouldn't be like coming at you because I genuinely wouldn't. But you could be like, okay, like maybe you shouldn't have done that, but like, what can you do to make it better? Like how can you move on from this? Like, so I think that's helped me too, like open up with myself more because it's just like yeah, I don't know. You don't have to worry about like beating yourself up all the time.
Yeah, I'm very hard on myself. Are you?
Mm.
Are you hard on yourself?
I used to be. I still can be when I'm in a bad place. But when I'm in a good place or even a neutral place now, I have like so much grace, probably too much grace for myself. I'll be like, it's okay. And it's like, maybe I should be a little bit harder on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you switch that thinking?
I
That's
think,
hard for some people.
yeah, it is. No, I think really the concept of like talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend really impacted me. Because I was like, I would never say these things. Like now when it goes through my head and all these thoughts start coming up, I'm like, I would literally never say this to any of my friends. So like, how can I switch this? And so, yeah, I think just it's more immediate now because I've done it so often. Whereas in the start, it was hard. I would like get into these major slumps and be like, all my most negative things that I've always thought about myself would just like come like in a stream. And it was hard for me to shut it off because I was like, no, it's all true. And then the more I got into like being like Jessica and like literally sometimes having to say it out loud, like stop and then like say like whatever you said, it's fine. Like just move on. Like it's in the past, it's already been done. And because I've done that so many times now, it's like an immediate response now. Whenever those streams start coming, I'll just be like, okay, stop. Like, you know, what, like, why did you do it or whatever? And I'll just like immediately assess. So I think it's just like with practice.
Yeah, I've been getting
Yeah.
slowly getting better from that,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where my source of motivation came from. For me, being hard on myself, it's like a strength and a flaw. So there's like being hard on yourself tolerably.
It's like it can drive you. It's just dangerous. Like you have to be careful when you let like harsh words drive you because there's a line. And when you're not in a good place and like the harsh words start coming up and it's like because I don't know what kind of words you say to yourself, but if it's stuff like, you know, Jessica, you can do so much better. Like, why are you like not pushing yourself like as hard as, I mean, there's just so many, those aren't even like that negative, but there are some really negative words that can sometimes drive me. And I'm like, it makes me do things harder, like a harder workout or a harder, like, you know, studying or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to know yourself and like keep self-assessing because what can work for you in one season could be really discouraging or like depressing in another season.
What can hurt you in one season can
Oh yeah.
not. What does that mean?
Yeah. I think it's just like you change, you know, like as humans we're constantly evolving. And so like, you know, what may have worked for me like 10 years ago or like when I was in high school could, because, you know, you just go through different things in life and in different seasons. And so I think what may have like driven me years ago or what may have been really discouraging to me years ago, I could now see in more like a level head and be like, and use it to drive me instead. So I think it's just like being real with yourself about like, how does it make me feel when I think that or when like those thoughts come into my head, like, and yeah, I don't know. I guess just like continually self-assessing with like how you're thinking and like how it makes you feel. Yeah.
I find who I surround myself with is extremely important.
Yeah.
So, especially through a tough time like what we were talking about earlier, you can brush on that. It's surrounding yourself with people.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking similarly to this, like the friendship itself leading up to those dark times is also really important into like how it goes like when you're in a dark time. And so like essentially like however deep you go is the bar. Like however vulnerable you are with your friends.
The bar?
Yeah. Like,
oh.
Sorry. Yeah. Like you set the
Okay.
bar. You set the bar
set
for your
the bar.
friendships. Unless you have another friend who's going to set the bar. But it's like if you get vulnerable with a friend, like you find someone that you think, okay, they have a really good like way of responding to things. Like I don't have to worry about like sharing with them and they're going to like laugh at me or whatever.
Yeah.
You know that they're like a safe person. And so then you can open up to them. And like, I think that essentially like however deep you go, they're going to feel like they can be deep back because you kind of reflect like the people that you're around. At least I do. And I think a lot of people kind of do. Like if I recognize that like, okay, Philmon's like deep, like I can go deep with him, but then I'm like with someone else and I'm like, okay, like they like to be kind of like funny or shallow. Like, you know, it's not as like, maybe it's not like the type of thing I would share with them or
You're
like,
the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yeah. And so my like 5 closest people are like very deep and that's because I like to be real with people. And so I think all of that to say, your friendships and like how deep you are and how real you are will really help you when you're or hurt you when you're going through a dark time if it's not as like real or dark or real or like deep with them. So I think like just fostering like good relationships and connections is really important for like then when you're going through a dark time they can help you get out of it or like just help you like kind of get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you share personal experiences of vulnerability or finding hope in challenging circumstances?
Ooh, yes. Um yeah, I mean I guess in terms of like challenging circumstances, yeah, like I've mentioned before, like so like in 2020 I was like very depressed, like the whole year of 2020 through the whole year of 2021. I was just like in a really dark time and I had never really gone through anything like that for so long.
Was that COVID?
That was COVID, but it was not because of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a lot of family things and then a lot of friendship and relational issues and my job and um, just a lot of things compounded at the same time. And it was like back to back, like really intense things going on. And so, like I said, I'm a sticky note person. And so and I'm a Christian. And so I would write down like verses and like, or quotes that I found to be like really encouraging. And I like just put them all over my walls. And I think just like, so, and then COVID hit. So, and it actually was really helpful because it allowed me to like not have to be out and doing things. 'Cause I think part of it was I was burning out. I was just like doing way too much between my job. My job was taking like more than probably like 50 hours a week and then, or maybe like 40 to 50. Yeah. And then outside of that, I was a leader in like my community and I was just like always with people. And so I think that plus like all of these crazy things that were happening, it was insane. It was crazy. And so when COVID hit, I was like, praise God, because I just like, it cut all of my.
Not to the people that got COVID. Just so you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Quarantine.
True.
When
Yeah.
quarantine hit.
Yeah, quarantine. No, it was really helpful because I didn't have to be around anyone. And I think, isolation can be dangerous, but it was really helpful for me in that time because I still had friends like checking in on me or like I like reached out to friends like through text or whatever. But yeah, I think just getting through that, I needed a lot of like alone time. And then like the only interactions I had were like very meaningful because it was just like a phone call once in a while. And so I think what kind of got me through was just like like writing positive truths and like keeping them like accessible and trying to like not allow myself to like spiral into those like negative streams of thought and just trying. That was when I started like cutting my thoughts and being like, okay, stop. And so
Like rewiring.
what'd you say?
Like rewiring your thoughts.
Yeah, like rewiring, not allowing them to go like too negative, like just being like, okay, stop and like think about it from a more objective point of view.
It's
So
not easy.
yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, I mean, and it was 2 years, so it was like really intense. And
Dang, I can't.
yeah,
That's
that was wild.
because I know what it's like. It's not easy.
Huh?
'Cause
Yeah.
I know that like rewiring and everything.
And it's crazy too because I mean, if you've ever gone through anything like extended like that, you just wake up thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm like never gonna be happy again. Like I'm never gonna feel joy again." And then I would like go through these points of like being happy, and I would tell my friends, "I think I'm better. Like I think that everything is good." And then it would like hit again, and I would be like, "Okay, I'm actually crazy," because I'm like happy one week and then really depressed the next, and yeah, it just felt like nothing was ever gonna change. And so I think just like sticking with my friends and like like surrounding myself with positive truth and with like hard truth too was really important. And also like in thinking about this, I was thinking just having like a nice environment was important to me. So like I made my room like really pretty because I really like pretty things. And so I just had like lights and like lacy things like and flowers like all over my room, and it made it kind of like a haven to go home to. And I felt like I could enter in and be like, okay, like at least there's some peace in like my environment. So I think like whatever your vibe is, like just trying to find like things that you like to look at, and just having like a positive environment too, like wherever you spend most of your time. So yeah. And then obviously because I'm a Christian, like just prayer. And so I think for people that are like not religious, like meditating or like just like reading good books, like or reading fun books. I mean, just doing things that are like doing things that you enjoy doing are important. But for me personally, it was like putting good music on, like just allowing myself to like going back to what we were saying earlier, like allowing myself to just lay in bed and be like listen to songs or read a book or, you know, not do anything. So just like kind of like assessing every day, like what do I need right now? Yeah.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of this conversation I had with a friend just last night.
Mm.
Like windows to your soul, sort of
Ooh.
like anything
Yeah.
that gets in your mind, music,
Yeah.
visual stimulation, words.
Yeah.
So like anything that gets in, it's like your soul diet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what you have to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to be intentional about it when
Yeah.
you're in a dark place. Because I had a friend once tell me that when she got really low, she would listen to really sad and depressing music. Because, you know, you just want something to relate to. You're like, I feel miserable, so I'm going to play like heavy metal or like, you know, really sad piano music or whatever. And I was like, girl, no, like turn that stuff off, because it's like, okay, maybe there's a place for it for like a day, but you cannot be going through depression with sad music, because what's it going to do? You're never going to get better. So I think it doesn't even have to be happy music, but just putting things that are in your life that are kind of more uplifting or like can give you hope. So
Music is a
important.
big thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Music is crazy, but
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
I remember just recently I went
Yeah.
through something, and having a close friend like you, having a
Mm.
close friend,
Mm.
helped out a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And there's only so many, how do I say this? Journaling,
Yeah.
meditating, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
There's only so much of that I can do until I really feel like I can open up with someone. I'm a big believer in, like, I don't know if this is good to say, but don't open up to someone unless you really have to. Some may disagree with that, some may agree with that. But yeah, but through tough times, it's very like, I have moments where I come home and I go through tough times and I don't share it to my family.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Oh, yeah.
with
I mean, I feel like,
people you live with.
I mean, it would be nice to share everything with your family, but I think family can be a little bit different because there's just some things that are just so intensely personal. It's like you don't want to share with anybody. So let alone people you have to see every single day if you live with them. So, but I do agree with, like, there is only so much that, like, journaling and doing all of that kind of internal processing, or even external. One of the things I was thinking is like getting in your car if you're not a journaler and just like driving and like getting it out like verbally.
It's a lot
That's
of
like
gas.
helpful.
No, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
yeah. Hey, it's the price you have to pay. So yeah, I think just like there's only so much that like doing things on your own can get you. Like it's only so far. You have to bring other people in eventually, even if it's just one other person or a counselor or like a
Yep.
mentor,
It's hard.
someone you trust. Yeah, because when you're in your head, you think whatever you want, and you can compound those thoughts if you start thinking, oh, I'm actually really stupid, like there's nothing to my brain, and like you have these really negative thoughts, and then you start thinking, yeah, it's true, like if I wasn't really stupid, and then you start convincing yourself, like if it wasn't true, then I wouldn't be in this situation and I wouldn't be miserable, and then you keep going, and then until someone else hears what you're saying and they're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And they can confront it and be like, no, you're not, or like say like, I mean, I don't even know, like with whatever's going on, like if it's a situation with your family or like a relationship or a friend, like bringing someone else in just provides like way more clarity. So
The right person.
yes,
The right
that's true. Yeah.
So I brought wrong people in, and I brought right
Sad.
people in. I'm sure
Yeah.
you have to.
Well, yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
Someone I told the thing about like the truth part.
Yeah.
I remember telling someone like, "Oh, I have trust issues. I can't
Mhm.
trust people. I do
Mhm.
not trust people." And he was like, "Stop saying that. You're gonna believe it, or else you will genuinely just like
Yeah.
not trust people."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay,"
That's
and then I stopped
true.
doing that,
Wow.
and then it helped.
Huh.
So he was right.
Helps you.
He was right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's true. Your like internal, like what you tell yourself can sometimes allow you to just exist in this like really subpar way of being. And just, yeah, like saying stuff like that. Like I used to say like, oh, I just am like not smart enough to like understand that, or like to deal with like my core issue has been my intelligence and like what I think, and thinking like I am really stupid. Like that's like my core thing. And so I think a lot of it has been battling like not allowing myself to be like, well, I can't really understand that, or like I'm not going to read this whole news article because I can't really understand it because I'm not smart enough. And like just allowing myself to think that kept me in this like really like subpar state of being. And now I'm like, I can understand a lot of things. Like I just have to actually study and or like really wrap my head around it, or like just really like research what does it actually mean or whatever. So I completely agree. Like what you allow yourself to think about yourself can really hinder you. Yeah.
Doing hard things like improves my confidence in terms
Mm.
of even through tough times.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah. I think like everything that I've gotten through, or like whether it's a class or like a challenge or a relationship or a conversation, there's so many things that, you know, you just dread. Like you can look on your calendar and think, oh my gosh, I can't wait until that thing is passed.
Yeah.
And then once it's passed, you think, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I did that. And it makes you feel like, okay, I actually am stronger to like do the next thing. Like it's kind of like levels.
If someone's looking for a step by step,
Hmm.
like, okay, give me 3 things, Jessica, of 3 big things of like what I can do to get through this tough time. I'll say my 3 things, and then you say your 3 things
Okay.
first.
Huh. Okay. I would say, well, let me think about this.
Yeah.
My top 3 things. Yikes.
I can go first if you don't want
No, because then it's going to seem like I'm copying you. You're going to take my ideas.
me. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely I would include nature in there. I don't know what number it is, but get out of your house because it gets you out of your head. Like even if you don't like going on walks, just go and sit outside somewhere, like find a bench. There's plenty of parks. I would just say getting outside, like it changes your environment. And there is science that proves that being in nature actually helps you physically. And physically. I'll send you studies because seriously, there's like there are studies that show that there are things like in the tree bark, in the soil, and in water. Like only in those 3 things. There's probably a lot of other things too. Anyway, I'll just say it actually does help your body. Like it calms you down, and there's like literal hormones and chemicals that like come as a result of these that interact with your body in a certain way that actually have a physical effect on you. So, but even aside from that, getting outside, getting fresh air is really helpful. Friends, definitely talking to someone, whether it's a friend or a counselor, I would say is really important. And it would have to be a good friend to talk to your friend about it, because just getting it out and having some kind of accountability to like what's going on is really important to get you through it. And then third,
That was a good 1 and 2. That
yes,
was pretty good.
thank you. Is it enough to take care of 3 also?
Dang, now I gotta
I
think of
think.
my 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like I already said, like surrounding yourself with truth, like just reminding yourself of truth and remembering particularly within that everything passes, like it will pass. I think just surrounding yourself with truth and yeah, I just being real with yourself, like being vulnerable with yourself and being vulnerable with others. Yeah.
You're big on that truth part, and that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Because truth is hard to find when you're not feeling right.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. I know. I'm flipping that. That's gonna be real.
I'm dying.
My 3 things. Now I'm trying to. No,
yeah. Good luck. I took the best ones. So. Just kidding.
You did.
I'm kidding.
I went through a tough time.
Yeah.
I guess it ties with the truth, but knowing that everything is just temporary.
Yeah.
Knowing that emotions are temporary, figure
Yeah.
that out in whatever way you can, whether that's like meditation or something. That's my 1.
Yeah, that's good.
Number 2,
Okay.
staying consistent with your schedule.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Keep up with the things that you've been doing. I know
Mhm.
it's hard. I know it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
That's my 2.
Good.
My 3, prayer.
Oh.
I got that. That's mine. Prayer is good.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe, then journaling, writing to something, saying to something, getting it out to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my 3.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, prayer is really important.
Very.
Yeah. And it's actually powerful. But yeah.
Everyone always talks about how can we get good friends, but I'm a big believer on you have to be a good friend first to get good friends. So how can we support and uplift others who are going through tough times?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of ways. Recently, my kind of revelation has been reminding them of like the past good times has been really powerful. Like,
That you both shared?
no, just, well, yeah, or in general. So like I guess what I mean is like when you're in like a really dark time, it's like you can't even see outside of that. You think it's going to go on forever. I'm never going to be happy again. I don't even remember what it's like to like feel joy. Like you just feel like seriously.
Thoughts, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, those are the thoughts.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. And so I think having somebody come in from the outside and either like send you photos of like when you were happy, because it works. I've had people do it, and I've done it for like some of my friends, and then just saying like, I know it's really intense right now and you can't really like imagine it, but this is going to pass, and like you will be happy again, and like you will be as you were in these pictures. I think also just creating positive moments, positive memories like presently. So like, you know, going out, seeing a movie, like getting some good food, like going to like a favorite dessert place, like doing something fun to like get their mind off of whatever it is, and then also like allowing space like within that to be like, okay, like what's going on? Do you want to talk about it, or you want to just chill? And like kind of like being whatever they need like in that moment. So like if they want to like really talk about it, but if not, just like do something totally different, or like talk about funny things or watch videos. Like, I mean, there's just so many ways, but I think just like creating a positive moment for them is important, because it reminds them like, oh, there are like, you know, good things. So yeah,
I think it's crazy how we all have different ways of processing things, and at the end of it, we're still like back at one, or back at, I don't know, but we all handle things differently. So finding a way to like know that as soon as you can about someone else, knowing their way of processing, that helps.
Yeah, true. That's true. I guess you would probably find that out like leading up to it if you're like good friends, like, or it's something you could even ask them. I mean, I've had friends before where we ask like, you know, when you're going through a rough time, like what do you want to hear? Like, do you want me to like build you up? Do you want me to like remind you of like certain truths? Like with one of my friends, he would say like, I just want to hear like biblical truth, like send me verses. And I was like, all right,
Start
let's
spin
go.
facts.
So, yeah. Huh?
Start spin facts.
Yeah, seriously. So I was like, okay, like, you know, and then other friends, it's like, I just need, like one of my friends recently said like, I just need you to kind of give me a glimpse of like what it's like on the outside, essentially, of like this like really intense darkness. And so
it's been really dark for you to
wow. So yeah, I think like you can even ask them in advance, or ask them in the moment, like how can I be there for you? And then they'll just tell you, you know, whatever they need. So yeah, but you're so right, like everybody has different ways of dealing, or they can just say, I just want to be alone. Like you can check in once a week or something, but I don't want people to be checking in on me all the time because it's too much. So, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've pushed people away trying to help them, and I made that mistake. And some people, including me, unless I ask you for advice, do not give me advice.
I didn't know that about you. I've been giving you all my advice.
No. I mean, that's different, though.
Okay.
That's different. In terms of, like, people... Your advice isn't like talking down to me. That's different.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my advice, people give me, I don't know. They're just like, you should do this, or else. I don't need that. True. Some people just want an open ear. You'd be surprised if you can show up to someone and just keep your mouth shut, and then they'll just start talking.
You do that. You don't talk. You keep your mouth shut. You ask good questions like in normal life. Like these podcasts, obviously you have good questions, but in normal life you have good questions and you stay silent. I'm like, okay, Philemon, letting me talk for like a long time. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So you're really good at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's true.
Yeah.
Especially not being like talking down to someone or being demeaning about it when you're, I mean, that's the whole thing, is when someone's going through a hard time, it's hard for me to figure out what to say sometimes, because you think, I know all the cliches, and like I don't want to say something that like this is just gonna make it worse, because I've had people say to me, man, I was going through this thing and this girl told me like I'm trying to think of what people will say, like, you know, like all the cliches that you never want to hear, like, oh, there's a reason for it, like there's a bigger reason, it's gonna build your character, like there's all these things that you can say that I've heard can be really damaging. And then someone tells you they're going through stuff and you're like, but it's true, like there could be a reason for it, like you think, you know. it's going to make them stronger, but that's like not helpful to say.
Yeah.
So I think I get kind of nervous sometimes about like, okay, like how do I respond graciously? And I think that's where being silent is really helpful, because you can really feel it out. Like, okay, what's their vibe? Like, would it even be helpful to say something like that? Because like, even though I know it's true, they might think it's like, oh my gosh, like, are you even listening to me? So I think it's just delicate when people are going through a hard time. But I think you shouldn't also shy away from like cliches and things like that, because there's a reason that they're cliche. It's true. So there are times when I've like said, you know, I know that this is like, people say this all the time, but I really believe like this is building you for something that you're going to deal with in the future. And like, and it's been true. Like I've seen it play out with friends' lives where they've gone through things that it's like, it gave them the character to create them to go to the next level. And it's like,
That's literally character development.
True. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I think just like knowing, being sensitive to how to respond. And if the person gets upset with you for what you say, I mean, what are you going to do? You're trying to be their friend. Like, I think there's obviously people that are like pretty careless in what they say, but then there's people like you would never like, there's just people where like, if you told me something that I felt like was really insensitive, I wouldn't take it that way, because I'm like, you didn't even think, you know, you were trying to say the right thing or whatever. But there are some people that, yeah, I don't know. I just think you have to be careful with what you say, but if someone gets upset with you for it, it's like, you just apologize and move on.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think that that would hit you like that. Like, you know.
You're very good with that in terms of like, based off of what you're saying. Because some people would like draw that out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, this person did this to me. Oh, he said this to me. And then they're not friends. And then, but you're just like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, that's how humans, I mean, as soon as someone cuts something off, it's like, okay, well, do you want to continue the friendship or not? Because I'm sorry I said that, but like, can we move on? Like, you know, I'm going to apologize. I'm serious. I do actually feel bad, but like, you know, like some people, it's like deal breakers as soon as you say one thing like that. And I just think humans, you know, are made to communicate, and there's always hope of like restoration of a friendship. So
I respect that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
What was the question? Oh yeah. How can you be a good friend? If space is what you need, just tell me. Like just tell me how, like what you need. That's literally it. And then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Some people won't tell me, and then I'll assume, and then things just go bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just think there's so much grace in it, because that's what being a friend is. You're going to be there for someone, and if they're usually, when someone's in a dark place, they're not going to like most of what anybody tells them.
That's true.
Because you're just in a bad place. So I try not to take it personally when people get upset with me for saying things, because I'm like, okay, well, you know, I can just sit here and be silent if you want me to just listen, which is sometimes really what it is. But, or ask, you know, do you want me to give you my advice right now, or you want me to not? Because it's like, it's fine if you don't want me to. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, being a good friend is really difficult, because it's the line of like knowing, okay, when do I just like stay silent, let them get it all out, and when do I like speak into this? Because like half of what they're saying right now is not true, but like, do they just need to get it out, or do I like challenge it? So I think it takes a lot. It's like a lot of trial and error. You know, you speak up and it can go wrong, or you can stay silent, and that's like not what you were supposed to do, because then they like spiral. So yeah, it is hard to be a good friend, but it's worth it.
I just know that communication is very important for anything.
Yeah.
For anything.
True.
Yeah.
I think over communicating is probably more. Yeah.
Over communicating?
Yeah, it's definitely better than under communicating, in my opinion.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean.
Yeah, people have a tendency, especially nowadays. I'm like, what the heck? But maybe not. Like, to not say very much, or like to just not respond, and or just to like a message, and it's like, dude, I just shared like so much with you, and like you're not gonna say anything. And so I think, or if you can tell there's a rift and people are just don't talk about it, I'm like, okay, so like what is our friendship or like relationship if like we're not gonna get this out? Like, I think over communicating and saying like, hey, like I don't know if you're feeling this way, but like I kind of picked up that like something's off, like, and just like saying too much is way better than like saying too little. Essentially, like obviously it's a balance, and hopefully you can get in the middle, but otherwise I tend to like over communicate and say like, hey, like, you know, whatever, like I know that I said this like the other day, and I just wanted to say like I'm sorry if it came across the wrong way or whatever. And then oftentimes the person's like, oh, I didn't even think about that, or like, or they deny it, or, you know, I mean, it's like, that's why communication is just so important, because you have to be able to talk about it. And after you say your part, it's like, however they respond is on them. If they're gonna deny it, but they actually do feel upset with you, that's on them. But if they say like, yeah, that actually did like hurt me, or I was really annoyed that you said that, it's like, okay, like let's talk about it. Like I'm sorry, or if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too. But you just have to like kind of get it out there, I guess. Yeah.
Guys, Jessica is a really good friend, so like
Wow,
she has
thank
credibility.
you. Look
know?
who we are also good friends.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I always keep forgetting what I say. Every time these things are on, I just forget.
Yeah, true. I can picture those on the screen.
Auto parts. Some people need you to let them know that you're there for them, and that's all they need.
Mm-hmm.
In any way, form, shape, or form that you do that,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a text a week,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just you letting them know just once, whether it's just like walking up to them and just saying hi. Some people need that, but like that's like the bare minimum, and that's
Mhm.
not even that much. Just say, hey, I'm here for you if you need it,
Yeah.
and then go on with your day.
Yeah.
Because some people just that's how it works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Have you ever have you ever been in that state where you have like a friend that you tell that to,
I
or
tell
like are
that
you one
too.
of those people?
I try to, yeah. I try to.
You try to tell people that you just want them to check in on you, or you try to tell people like every day you're thinking about them,
Them to me or me
Yeah.
to them?
them to you.
Oh, okay. Them to me. Okay, because it made it sound like it was me to them. That's a good question. I've been at a state where I assumed and I expected them to check on me.
Yeah.
I think everyone's felt that way.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like silence makes you assume things, and not communicating just makes you assume things, and then just
Yes.
makes judgment, and then, I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's weird to say like, hey, I want you to check on me.
Yeah.
If you,
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever told that to anybody? Or no? Like, even if it's not that explicit?
I've told someone like, hey, if I'm not feeling well and I'm opening up to you,
Yeah.
unless I ask you for advice, don't
Yeah.
give it. But that's all I've said.
Okay,
I don't tell people like,
check in on me.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll say like you checking in on me, that means a lot.
Yeah.
I'll say
I mean,
that.
it implies it. Yeah. Which is good. And I think also, like, on the flip, it's like trying to check in with people is important. Even if it's not like, even if you don't know they're going on through a hard time. Sometimes, whenever I think about someone randomly, I'll usually try to text them because I'm like, where did that come from? And I think there's so much that goes on. Like, I think there's just so much that goes on, like, I mean, honestly, spiritually, that like we just take for granted as like, oh, it's just a random thought about a random person. But oftentimes when I'll text that person, be like, hey, I just thought of you, like, hope everything's going well. A lot of times they'll respond and be like, yeah, actually things aren't going well, like, thanks for checking in or whatever. And whether they go into it or not, it's like, okay, like they have a connection of like someone's thinking of them. So, and then I'll just pray for them, but like personally. But yeah, and I have a couple of friends that we have it established where like they'll let me know if they're going through a hard time, and then I'll just check in on them. And I have one friend particularly right now who I pray for every day, and I'll text her like
That's really
oftentimes
nice.
when I do. Yeah, because this is intense, man. So yeah, and it's important to know that people are thinking about you, because you can feel so alone when you're in that place. So yeah.
Tradition.
Ooh.
I didn't want to tell you this before because I
Yikes.
wanted it to be natural.
Okay.
Dwayne Johnson, come out.
Dwayne Johnson.
I'm gonna say that 'cause you're nervous.
DeGeneres.
Right now is your time. Advice to
Okay.
anyone. Doesn't have to be about anything we talked about.
Okay.
Do you have any advice for anyone? Just looking,
Ooh.
watching.
Scary.
Piece of advice.
The only thing that's coming to mind right now is just like, I think it's important to like push yourself and to like try to push yourself like outside of your comfort zone, whether it's like in terms of like vulnerability, or if it's like doing something new or doing something that like you traditionally would think is like kind of scary, and then like having grace for yourself like when it does go wrong, or like when it's like you don't do it well or whatever it is, like just trying something new, or like trying to have like a confrontation with someone, like whatever you're like not good at or don't typically do. I would just say like pushing yourself is important in general. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
What's your advice?
My advice? Why
Yeah.
do people ask me that when I have to answer?
Hear
Because I
it.
have all the time to give them advice. I'm just going to choose
Wisely.
this topic. Feelings are temporary,
True.
but what you do in your actions, sometimes they're not.
was good.
good.
Wait, what?
Let me cook, bro. It's getting clipped. You're recorded,
That's
right?
true,
No, I'm
though.
joking. That is true. Yeah. That has to do with what we're talking about.
It does, because
Yeah.
remember, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, or I think, it was definitely you. I was like, I was in a really bad mood one day. Like, I was feeling so down, and it was like out of nowhere, like all these like seriously negative thoughts, like really negative, and I hadn't felt it in a while. And I remember journaling like the morning that I was feeling really down, and I was like, I really think that this is because I have a test and I don't feel ready for it. And I think after this test passes, because I was starting to think, because I'm in school for like prerequisite classes for nursing, and I was like, man, if I can't even handle this one class, how am I going to be in nursing school? And how am I going to be a nurse and dealing with like life or death situations all the time? And I was like really like, kind of just making everything like huge. And I was thinking maybe I'm not cut out to be a nurse. And then I journaled and I was like, okay, Jessica, I think that this is because you're nervous about this test. And once the test passes, you're going to feel fine. Because it was affecting a lot of other areas of my life too, where I just felt really inadequate. And then, so basically I told myself, do not make any decisions right now. Or for the next 2 days, you do not have permission to make any decisions. And then I took the test and I was fine. I was like, I felt totally fine afterwards. I was like, yeah, I can do nursing school and I'm going to be a great nurse. And it's just
So
like,
really the test?
yeah, because it's like when you're in like that dark mood, it's like everything starts coming up. You're like, and you start listing every single thing that's wrong about your life. And it's like, you just feel like you suck in every area. And it's like, well, it's just because I'm really stressed about this one thing. So just waiting for it to pass before making any decisions. Or if you're in a long stretch, involving other people in on it and being like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And then seeing what they tell you. Because, yeah.
Spiraling is very easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outro. So, thank you
Yeah.
for coming on the
you.
show. Means a lot. Really does.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully you guys liked what Jessica said. If you don't, please leave. Check out the Instagram at The Brief Dive. Check out Snapchat, The Brief Dive Plus, all caps. Gmail, thebriefdive@gmail.com. To reach out to me one-on-one. Is there anything else?
Like, comment, subscribe. Below.
Like, comment, subscribe, share to someone who needs it. And that's really it. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.
Bye.